Tim Saunders along with Keith Jones. We're at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, where tonight the Flyers take on the Nashville Predators. Our game day preview is brought to you by Comcast Business Class. One of the few visits for the Flyers in this building, only their second in the last 6 years. The Flyers don't see Nashville very often, but Jonesy, although a lot of people in the Eastern Conference may not know this team, this is a pretty good hockey club.
A very good team, very solid defensive team. You really have to take advantage of any opportunity you get in the offensive zone. They don't give you a lot. They're built from the back end, which is historically how David Poile likes to build his teams. Washington Capitals, when I was there years ago, very similar in the defense being the key. Goaltending here is terrific, though, with Pekka Rinne in goal. Right. So you really got to bring your A game offensively to beat this team.
Well, although the road trip didn't start off particularly well at the end in Ottawa, this is the fourth and final game of the road trip, and after a couple of back-to-back wins, Jonesy, they've got a chance to put together a pretty good trip here.
They do, and you know, the one thing underlying in the 3 of their last 4 games they've won, and they've won it with good goaltending. Brizgalov in the game last Saturday against the Ottawa Senators was outstanding in getting the victory, and then Sergei Bobrovsky comes back with 2 very solid efforts against Carolina and the New York Islanders. Not a lot talked about in how well the goalies have played over the last little while, right. And they've needed to. It looks like the Flyers, offensively have been a little bit flat, and they've given up a lot of opportunities defensively. So they're going to need to bring their A game against Nashville to get the victory.
In goal, Bobrovsky probably stole the Flyers the point or the 2 points in the Island.
Without question. I thought he was outstanding. And the New York Islanders had their skating legs. They generated a ton of offensive chances. They have some highly skilled forwards, maybe underrated because the way the team has performed overall. But you've got John Tavares and Michael Grabner, Matt Molson coming at you. You're going to have to make some big saves. And Flyers gave them a little too much room. They're going to have to tighten up defensively and not rely so much on the goaltender.
Sean Couturier scored his 3rd goal in 3 games. He's got back-to-back game-winning goals. Flyers have still gotten great contributions from their rookies, which we've talked about. Nashville, that's true too. They've also dressed 11 first-year players.
Yeah, with a team like Nashville, they're going to rely on youth because a lot of their star players have to be moved on with salary cap issues and financial constraints. You don't expect that so much with the Flyers. It's been amazing to watch how well their young players have contributed. I thought the game against the Islanders, a lot of that victory went to the line of Sean Couturier with Matt Reed and Harry Zonerchuk in the 3rd period when it looked like the Islanders had some life. That line came up big, and Couturier scored a huge goal late. Made it 3-1 at that time, eventually became the game-winning goal as the Islanders poured it on late. But what a patient player he is, so smart and so solid that you can use him in the 3rd period to slow the opposing team down and then have him generate some offense on top of that.
Good as he has been, Sean Couturier, he's still playing on a 4th line. There might be a temptation to get him more involved, play him a little bit more, elevate him, but Laviolette likes where he is right now.
Yeah, no rush, and I think it's perfect. It suits him well. I think as a young player, you know where you're slotted. You kind of step in there to be the guy in the 3rd period that can come up with a big play, but you're not being asked to do it on every shift, and I think that's important for a young player. Very similar to Sergei Bobrovsky. He's very good as the backup goaltender coming in to steal games for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's comfortable in that role. Is he ready yet to be a number 1 goaltender and carry the load? I don't think so. I still would rely heavily on Brizgalov, and I think if it was me making the decision, Brizgalov would get the start against Nashville and just keep that going in the direction that it is and probably play him more in the second half.
Flyers know that if they're going to make a long playoff run, he's got to be the guy.
I believe that to be true, and if you looked at this team last year and you looked at Bobrovsky's play in the first half, it was outstanding. Second half, it would have been great to add a player like Brizgalov to step in and carry the load down the stretch. The Flyers have that luxury now. Things have not been great for him in the first half, but it is the second half of the season, and I expect him to be much better.
As Scott Hartnell and Kimmo Timonen return to Nashville, where they played the bulk of their career, the two have played 776 games together. 416 have been in this building. They're going to face a Nashville team whose 2 best players are probably their 2 defensemen.
Yeah, there's no question. Shea Weber and Ryan Suter are outstanding defensemen. Both guys heading to the All-Star game in Ottawa. Great choices to be there, well-deserved. Complete players, too. They play a ton of minutes on the back end. Very similar to Kimmo Timonen, especially Ryan Suter, who's solid defensively, smart, subtle about the way that he approaches the game. For Shea Weber, a little bit different. Maybe a little more Chris Pronger-like in Pronger's prime. He's got the big one-time blast from the point, and the Flyers are going to have to be aware of him, especially in power play situations.
Well, certainly Pekka Rinne will get the start in goal. It'll be his 40th start of the season for Nashville. That's tops in the National Hockey League. Game time is at 8 o'clock at Bridgestone Arena. It'll be on the Comcast Network with Keith Jones, Jim Jackson, Steve Coates, or you can join Chris Terrian and I on Sports Radio 610 WYP. Our game day preview brought to you by Comcast Business Class. Visit business.comcast.com.